Before I get into this week's chapter reaction, I need to address something from last week and something that appeared in a lot of the comments from my last video. But if you want to just focus on this week's chapter reaction, you could skip to the timestamp ahead. So let's get into this. I discussed my displeasure with Kurapika's new ability, and that was the Stealth Dolphin, and the way that he was able to pass on his ability to Queen Oito. Specifically, the reason that I was upset was because it appeared that no one could see the Dolphin-san, as I've been calling him, without, or even when using Gyo. It appeared that they couldn't see him. But there is a panel in that chapter that I think makes it pretty clear. Dolphin-san says, "I'm communicating to you telepathically." I think when I first read that, I thought that just audibly other people could not hear the dolphin because it was communicating telepathically, but that it was still physically next to Queen Oito. And that's what I was upset about, that people could not see the dolphin even when using Gyo, because it said, presently, no one can see me. A lot of people said, well, it said presently, maybe it knew people weren't using Gyo, and that's not how I interpret that at all, so I'm not really going to discuss that part of it. So now I understand. I believe that it was completely telepathic communication. The dolphin is not physically there. It is just in her mind that it is there, right? So I'm over that part. I'm okay with the ability, but there were some comments I got defending it. If it was true that the dolphin was physically there and could not be seen with Gyo, there were some people in the comments defending it, and I want to talk about those 2 points. I already discussed this on a live stream a few days ago. If you want to know when I do live streams, I don't plan them, so make sure you are using the notification bell to get notifications when I go live or when I post a video. Shameless plug, I know. But there's 2 points that people were bringing up. One of them was Melioron, the Chimera Ant, and saying, well, he was not visible even when using Gyo. And that's true, but he's a Chimera Ant, not a normal human. And this Chimera Ant already has the ability to go invisible without using Nen. So this is a natural ability of this specific Chimera Ant because he's pretty much a chameleon, right? And the fact that Chimera Ants originate in the Dark Continent makes this ability more believable. This is not a normal human. This is a beast from the Dark Continent who has gained the ability to use Nen and is enhancing its own natural ability. And the reaction from the other hunters, Knuckle and Shoot and all them, they're pretty amazed at this special ability. So you would think that it would not appear multiple times in the series. So I was okay with that. Yes, it cannot be seen by Gyo, which seems like it is breaking the rules, but this is a very special character who can already become invisible. Their Nen is making them undetectable, so it is a natural progression of their ability, right? So Melioron's ability does not bother me. Now, the other point, the second argument a lot of people were bringing up was the Nen Beast. Well, Chris, the Nen Beast cannot be seen either, even when using Gyo. Here's the thing, though. The host, the person who has a Nen Beast, is the person who cannot see their own Nen Beast. That is not a positive trait. That is a negative part of that ability. Whereas with Kurapika, if he can hide his Hatsu from other people, that is a strength to his own ability. But like I said, I think it is all telepathic. I understand that now. But if it wasn't, it would be a benefit that he could hide his ability. Whereas a host not being able to see their own Nen Beast is a negative trait. It's a restriction. It could be considered a restriction that makes the Nen Beast more powerful, and they can't control the Nen Beast at all. So then you may argue, well, they can't see the other Nen Beasts either, but that is, they are all participating in this ceremony pot and being granted these special powers, but they can't harm each other. So the fact that if I am a host, I can't see another host's Nen Beast, well, the Nen Beast isn't going to directly attack me or my Nen Beast. So there are other restrictions at play that make it not as powerful as a normal Nen user being able to hide their Hatsu. All the other Nen users can see the Nen Beasts, so they are able to protect themselves, whereas a host does not necessarily need to protect themselves from another Nen Beast, which makes it more acceptable that they cannot see the Nen Beast. You get what I'm saying? In short, what I'm trying to say is comparing a normal Nen user to a Chimera Ant with Nen or comparing a normal nen user with the rules surrounding these nen beasts, I don't think is a fair one-to-one comparison. If every nen user in the world could hide their Hatsu, even if it's not all nen users and it's just specialists, because when Kurapika's eyes are scarlet, he is a specialist. If all specialists could do this, then they absolutely should, but they don't. There are other circumstances surrounding the two examples I was given in the comments that make it more acceptable that their nen can be hidden. But really, like I said, it's kind of a moot point right now because I do believe that Kurapika was communicating telepathically, so Dolphin-san, can you please forgive me for misinterpreting your nen? Perfect, thanks. Let's move on now to chapter 365 of Hunter x Hunter. Now this isn't a unique comparison, but I'm definitely getting some Game of Thrones vibes from this chapter. And some people have said that about this arc in general, but specifically this chapter, I'm definitely feeling that. And Kurapika is at the center of it. It's about the way that these characters are communicating to each other, choosing their words very carefully, and really conveying a different meaning from their own words. It is intense, and throughout this chapter, we feel that intensity when we zoom in on Kurapika's eyes. Every time something catches him a little off guard and he is surprised, you know, we get that zoom in on the eyes, but he is able to react appropriately. So this happens, we get a close-up a bit, it's like background faded a little bit over or behind the dialogue when he is thinking to himself, whose call should I answer? But really the first time that it happens is when he realizes that Shimano, this handmaid or whatever, connected him to the third prince instead of the first prince like he asked. And this character, Shimano, it's very interesting that she would be the one to give Kurapika the rundown of what might happen depending on whose call he answers and not the queen giving him that rundown. Maybe the queen is just, you know, she said last chapter that she's basically placing her absolute trust in Kurapika, but, you know, she could have helped him out with this decision. I'm sure she knows a little bit about the other princes, but instead, Shimano just kind of tricked Kurapika and then explains afterwards when he calls her over, you know, here's what would have happened if you answered the first prince. He would have just said, like, congratulations, you're loyal, how do you want to die? Here's what would have happened if you answered the third prince and the fifth prince, Tubeppa. So, and Kurapika acknowledges that her ability to analyze these princes is accurate, so he trusts her in giving him direction on what he should do next with Benjamin's guard that is outside. But it is a bit suspicious that she knows so much. She's either just a really smart girl or there's something else going on here and maybe she is a plant. I find it surprising that when Kurapika questioned her, he did not use his dowsing chain to see if she was lying at all. So he trusts her, asks what do I do next after he was speaking to the second lieutenant of Tubeppa and Zhang Lei, and she gives him direction and he follows it. But moving back a bit to those discussions that Kurapika has on the phone, you gotta give him some credit. I think he's handling the situation pretty well. When Zhang Lei asks, why did you choose me over the other princes, he reacts quickly and he's able to change the topic to what he believes Zhang Lei is calling about, and that is Nen. So he gets his attention very quickly. And when Kurapika is talking to, I think this guy's name is Mawar, the second lieutenant of Tubeppa, he is able to kind of weasel his way out of a dangerous situation there by bringing up Prince Benjamin's guard that is waiting outside. So very quick to act, and he's just thinking very well. Although I would question his decision to answer the first prince's call first. When he is analyzing the different princes and what they want by calling him, he assumes that Tubeppa and Zhang Lei both want to talk about Nen beasts, and he's unsure why the first prince is calling him. He thinks, well, why would he call me at the same time that he is sending another assassin? His words, we don't really know what this new bodyguard's mission is because Benjamin said the mission changed, but in Kurapika's mind, he's wondering, why is there an assassin at the door and you're calling me at the same time? So is it Kurapika's curiosity that makes him want to answer the first prince's call? Maybe he is trying to put more pressure on the other princes by answering the first prince, following, protocol that he should answer the first prince. I just find his decision a bit questionable. But I want to talk about Tubepa for a second, because Tubepa is now making a second truce. The first was with the 4th prince, and now Tubepa is making a truce with the 14th prince and Kurapika in exchange for information about Nenbis. And Shimano tells us that really the only concern from Tubepa is the princes above, not the lower princes. So while this could be a good thing for the 14th prince, I think we can make some assumptions that Tubepa is definitely underestimating all of the princes below her, even though in this chapter it says Tubepa is him like 1,000 times, and he, himself, all that. But I'm really starting to get a feeling that Tubepa is going to be one of the first princes to go, just because Tubepa's only aim is the princes above her. Zhang Lei, on the other hand, I feel like is trying to get as much information as possible before making a decision on what to do in this succession war, and sees an opportunity in Kurapika to gain information. And when Benjamin sent his bodyguards to all the princes, Zhang Lei saw that as an opportunity to gain more information about Nenbis. So Zhang Lei, very calculating. I'm glad that Kurapika is going to hopefully form a truce with Zhang Lei. But when Kurapika finally gets over to speak with Zhang Lei, we don't get a lot from that conversation. He says a little bit about Nen, and then he says, what I'm about to tell you could have a big outcome on the succession war. You sure you want to talk here? Because he knows that the first prince's bodyguard is standing right there. He knew that the one that came after him had the earpiece, so he probably assumes that Benjamin is listening in already. One thing I do like that Togashi did this chapter is he put like little titles below the characters' faces in this last page. I wish that would happen more often. So now that we see that the second queen has a bodyguard here with this prince, and then Benjamin's private soldier is there, but we could tell by the outfit that he is wearing. So interesting way to end the chapter. What is Kurapika going to say to Zhang Lei? Is he just saying that because he knows Benjamin is listening and wants to put a little fear in Benjamin, or does he actually have something important to say? And will Zhang Lei kind of honor this request and speak to them privately without guards around? Also, at the end of this chapter, Bill is just hanging out with one of Benjamin's private soldiers in the 14th prince's room. So by the time that Prince Wobble and Kurapika get back to that room, who knows if something else has happened. I think next chapter we will pick up right where we left off with this conversation between Kurapika and Zhang Lei. Overall, really enjoyed this chapter. As I said, tensions are very high, and I'm definitely getting that Game of Thrones vibe, and I'm enjoying every second of this dialogue between Kurapika, the other princes, the other bodyguards. You just feel that every moment counts. But that's where we'll end this week's reaction. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of the chapter. Also, who do you think is trustworthy? Can Kurapika trust Shimano? Can he trust Zhang Lei? Do you think that Tubepa will honor the truce between Kurapika and them? So, a lot going on. Let me know what you guys think. Like if you enjoyed. And if you'd like your name in the credits of each video, just like my first patron, Riley, you can go ahead and support me on Patreon, completely optional, but there is going to also be bonus content that I would not normally post on my channel on Patreon, so coming in the future. So thanks a lot, guys. I'll see you very soon. Bye.